And I'm going to mute myself. So carry on, have fun.
All right, it was good to see you today.
All right. How's everybody doing? June. Are we all okay? Is it nice and cool outside, 102 or something like that?
Yep, it was a wonderful day. Mhm.
Just another frigid day in Tucson, Arizona. Yes.
Yep, you want to make sure you're staying in the house.
All right, so I got a lot of stuff tonight. Guess I'll just run right into it unless someone wants to say something up front. You, Barbara, anything?
Nope.
Okay. All right, so news item 1, you should be on iOS 16.5. That is .5, and that is the latest version, stable. Everything works okay, no problem. So that should be in the
Great.
version. The next item that I've been looking at in the news lately is Netflix is now cracking down on password sharing. I don't know if anybody's ever heard of this news story, but
Yep, I saw it a couple weeks ago.
yes. So what they were finding is that people would buy one account and then share it amongst all their family members, whether they're in the same house or not. So Netflix is now enforcing just one person per account kind of thing, or one household, I should say. So yeah, so they're doing that, and it looks like it's working for them, by the way. So I don't know if anybody is against that or for it or what you think, but what they're trying to do is minimize multiple houses using the same account. That's the thing behind this. So you're in the same house and you guys want to use it, it's probably going to be okay. It's when you spread them amongst multiple households, that's when they start putting the hammer down on that one. So and they're getting more subscriptions now, so that means they did make an effect. They didn't lose membership through an anger in the new rules. So as far as I know, they're doing better than they did before. Okay. Let's see. what else.
Manny,
Yeah.
Manny, have you heard this one about Amazon? A UPS deliverer was supposed to be dropping off a package. He had headsets on, but he dropped the package, and the Amazon, I guess the photo doorbell asked him, excuse me, may I help you? And he didn't answer, but then he left and called Amazon and said that the occupant had did racial slurs to him, and Amazon turned everything off on this person's all of his equipment. They turned everything off.
Oh, wow.
All of the Amazon equipment, just boom. Didn't tell him they were going to do that. Didn't check to see if that was a valid
Right.
a valid complaint or nothing. Just turned
That's
his
scary.
whole household off.
You know,
my
that's very interesting. I'm going to look into that, because I don't know what that means on either side. I mean, if it really did happen and the guy's complaining, that's a bad thing. But can they shut your stuff off remotely? I think that's kind of crazy. I don't know.
Well, I imagine they could do it, but I don't know. I don't think it's right.
Correct.
Well, I think they'd have to have some kind of legal action. I mean, they may have, as you said, done it, but they could be in trouble because anybody can accuse anybody of something. They'd
That's
have
right.
to have some kind of proof that actually happened.
And I'm against any kind of racial slurs, but is that a crime? I mean, to say that, I mean, is it now a crime? I don't know. That's a good question. So
Well, it wasn't even a slur. It was the doorbell said, "Excuse me, may I help you?" And the guy just interpreted it wrong or wasn't listening. He had headsets on, and he didn't even hear, I don't think, what the doorbell said.
Wow.
And he reported that, and the guy got everything shut off. So it's like, I don't know if that's in the contract where they have the right to go in and disable your equipment if they want to? Or not?
I'm definitely going to look into that. I want to understand that because I don't remember agreeing to anything. Of course, I don't read these agreements, like I should. But I imagine there's a clause in there that says, yeah, we can shut you down, shut your account down. I don't know, but I'll look into that, and I'll have something to report for the next class if you guys can wait for a month to get that information.
Okay.
So, well, thank you, Gina.
I
That's
just
a
thought
real-
I'd mention it.
Yeah, no, that's a real good thing. Wow.
That's
Any
crazy.
comments on that?
Yeah. But,
Wow. Okay. Speaking of Amazon, my next news item is Amazon's looking to get into the cell phone business, cell phone service business, and they want to offer it to Prime members. So I don't know if they're actually that's gonna happen, but I think they're looking into it. They're talking to all of the major carriers, AT&T, Verizon, T-Mobile, you name it, and I guess they're trying to figure out ways to do this. So it might be another feature for Prime members. I don't know if it's free. I don't even know if it's going to happen, but that's the buzz out there about that. The latest I heard on that was, I think yesterday, that the talks between AT&T and Amazon weren't going so well. And I'm sure they're haggling over price. I have no idea. But that's a possibility, and that's kind of the buzz there on that. So I don't know how that's good or bad, but it'll be a very comprehensive Prime member service if they added cellular phone service to it. So now we'll see. All right. Any questions?
Manny, we had Nancy and Lupita join us.
Oh, hello guys. How are you?
Good. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Okay. Continuing on, the biggest news this month was the annual Worldwide Developers Conference that Apple put on, and what they did. Just to review what that is, it's geared towards developers. It's a week-long event, conferences for an entire week. But the thing that everybody wants to see is the very first day's keynote, and that's when they introduce new things and products and all this good stuff. So they're talking about iOS 17, some of the improvements. I didn't see much as far as accessibility improvements, but I'm sure there are. So until they start flushing this out more, I'll talk about them more. Because if I get ahead of myself, which is what I think is coming out, sometimes they'll pull them at the last minute. For example, for 16.5, the version of iOS software you're on now, they were supposed to put screen recording using the Siri command to do it, but they pulled it out of the beta before at the last minute. And of course, they didn't announce it. It was all speculation. And of course, it didn't show up. So I didn't want to let that out and then it doesn't show up. So there are some accessibility things happening for 17 that were kind of announced, but may or may not be there when they finally roll it out later this year. But if I get like anything that's kind of for sure, I'll definitely let you know. So that's coming to iOS 17. And then they've got some product stuff. There's a MacBook Air if you like laptops, and a few other things. But the star of the show was the Vision Pro. I don't know if you guys have heard about that. Last year, I was telling you they were working on a goggle headset, and that's what they announced that they're going to be releasing early next year. And it's a set of goggles that goes on your head. And it allows you to do all your computing with your eye movements and hand gestures. And they call it spatial computing. So that kind of leads me into the emerging technologies. So this little number, the cost of it's going to be about $3,500. Very expensive. And I don't know what it's going to do for us. I think it should do a lot because voiceover should work and all these other things. But I don't know if they're going to have like the real fancy features in there that we really want. So we can walk around and it can tell us what's going on. replace our eyes.
Yeah,
That's still up in the air.
Manny,
Yeah.
Manny, it's Maggie.
Mhm.
Remember you and I talked about that and we were comparing it to the one that the VA gave Ralph a year or so ago.
Mhm.
And he didn't seem to, I mean, it was great while it was new, but he didn't seem to really be something that he felt was any help. And when you look at these things, they're huge and awkward and clunky.
Yes, I mean, they are too big right now. To me, I would equate this to like the very first cell phones from the 70s. You remember those big brick cell phones you carried around, if you carried them, if you could afford to. And they're about the size of a brick with a big fat antenna sticking out the back of it, and run for like an hour. They're Motorola that weighed about 5-10 pounds or something. So I think that's where we're at with this technology. We're in the old Motorola brick phone section. So we should probably wait for a few releases down the road and the price comes down. But it's amazing the amount of technology they threw in there. There's supposed to be like 6 or 8 cameras all around it and all kinds of microphones and things like that. And it has a chip from one of their computers in there. It's not a scaled down computer. It's actually a full blown desktop computer sitting on your face and goggles. So I guess we'll see how it goes. You know, I don't know of a use case scenario for us yet, unless they introduce some really cool things for us. You know, like the stuff we look for in the goggles that are made for us by all these other places like Envision and Iris and all these other companies that are out there. So we'll see. You know, but the technology they're using in those goggles is pretty amazing, and I can see why it takes up so much space. But I think it's very big and impractical for us, in my opinion. And I don't know what you guys think. If you want to have about a pound's worth of goggles sitting on your face and your nose, it's going to get very tiring very quick. So I think they got some work to do there. So yeah. Any questions on that? I don't know much about this, by the way. It's a brand new product, so I don't. Of course, I've never tried it or anything, so I have no idea. That's what I saw. All right, if there are no questions, I will get to topic number 1. Let me see what topic 1 is. Okay, topic 1 is, okay, there's an app that Barbara turned me on to. It's called OKO. And what it does is it allows you to stand at an intersection and you can point it at the crosswalk sign or signal thing, and it can tell you with sounds whether it says don't walk, or if it's got a countdown timer happening. So that's kind of handy for us since we can't see, obviously, and we can know when we're supposed to walk. So I really can't demo it because I can't go to an intersection and I don't have anybody filming me doing this, but I can play the sounds for you that it makes for this. And of course, you can get this app from the App Store. It's completely free. And from what I've seen in it in the literature, it does work pretty well, and it accommodates different styles of lights. Okay, let me find
Manny,
my phone.
is that large O dot K dot O, or how?
Oh yes, sorry. It's I'll spell it out. It's O as in octopus, K as in kangaroo, O as in octopus.
Is there a dot in there, or is it
No,
one
it's
word?
just slammed together. OKO.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm. So let me open it up on my phone here, and then I'll play each of the tones for you guys, so you can hear what it sounds like when it's don't walk and walk, and then the countdown. All right, so let me try that. Okay. All righty. Let me turn my phone up so you guys can hear it.
Media folder. 9 at Ace Hardware.
Okay. Okay. Hey Siri. Open OKO.
Settings.
So I'm going to go into the sound area. The screen is very simple. It's just a big viewfinder for those low vision folks. And it's just like a little button on there, and then it will start scanning. So let me do this.
Pedestrian traffic signal. The pedestrian, page 2 of 3. Page 3 of 3. Feedbacks. Play don't walk signal feedback.
So we're gonna play the don't walk signal first. So if it's flashing don't walk, it's gonna sound like this when you point it to the
Play
don't
don't
walk.
walk signal. Play don't.
You hear that? It was like 3 chirps. I don't know if you guys heard that.
No.
We
I'll play it
can't
one
hear
more.
it.
What's that?
Double tap to
We can't hear it.
Okay, I'm gonna try it again. But if you can't hear it, it sounds like 3 chirps, like very sharp chirps. Okay,
double
let me try
tap.
it.
Play don't walk signal feedback. Play don't.
Oh, I got it. I hear it.
Play don't walk signal feedback. Play don't walk signal.
Come on.
Play don't walk signal feedback. Play don't walk signal feedback. Double tap to display don't walk signal feedback.
Sorry, what's going on here?
Play don't walk signal feedback.
Let me turn off voiceover for this little piece because it's interfering. These are just the demonstration sounds.
Dismiss play.
I'm sorry about that. When I was going over this earlier, it worked great. I don't know why it's doing it now. Hey Siri, turn voiceover off. All right, let's try it again. Okay, so I'm gonna do the don't walk. I hope I'm pressing on the right one here. We do that. Try it again. Oh, I know. Don't walk. Hey Siri, turn voiceover on. Hey Siri, turn voiceover on. Sorry about that.
Welcome.
Hey Siri, turn speech off.
Sorry.
Okay, try it again.
Nights play don't walk signal feed. Play don't walk signal.
So these are chirps. It did it, but I know you guys didn't hear it, but it did like 3 high-pitched chirps, and it'll just keep doing it. It'll go beep, beep, real high chirps. Let me try the second one, see if we get more success there. Hang on a second.
Play walk signal feedback.
So we're trying the walk signal now.
Play walk signal feed.
See what's going on here.
Play walk signal feed. Play walk signal feedback. Play walk signal feedback. Unmuted. Play walk signal. Play walk signal feedback. Double tap to dismiss play.
All right, so the sounds for some reason aren't
Double
working
tap to
in
dismiss pop-up.
my live demonstration, which is typical for me. So the walk signal feedback sounds
Double
like
tap to dismiss.
the walk signal feedback sounds like it's chirping a lot, like beep, 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 beep. It's doing like that kind of stuff. Okay, real fast. And you can walk while it's doing that. And then the final one is the countdown one. So the one, if it's a countdown timer and it's counting down, it's gonna do like this every quarter second, half second beep. It'll go beep, beep, beep like that. And it'll be like an echoey kind of sound. So I'm sorry that it's not making the sounds for
Signal
you,
feedback.
but it does work when I'm not in front of you guys. 'Cause it knows when you're watching.
So, to summarize, the don't walk one is very slow. It's bump, bump, bump.
Right,
And then
right.
the walk one is bump, 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 bump. So you can really tell the difference between the two of them.
So yes, and when you're pointing it to the other side of the street, you don't have to be very accurate because it's kind of far away. It's gonna find it in the view. It don't have to be right on the money. It'll see it in the frame, whether it's in the top, middle, or bottom. As long as it can see it. Hang on a second. Let me just close
Double
it.
tap to dismiss pop-up. Easy voice read.
Keeps talking. So you can point it at it and it detects when it says don't walk, and then it'll do that beep, beep, beep. And then as soon as it changes to walk, it'll go beep, 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 beep.
Yeah,
real
so you
fast.
can really tell.
And then you can walk, and then if you keep it pointed while you're walking, it'll tell you when the sign changes back to don't walk. And then of course, if it has the the countdown timer, it'll give you a totally different tone, and it'd be very distinguishable between the other two. So it's kind of a cool little app if you're walking around and you need some help knowing when to cross the street. Now in O&M, when I was at Savvy, my O&M instructor just taught me to listen to the cars. So if your engines cars are going a certain way, you know that you can cross. Of course, if they're going in front of you, you don't cross because that's not good. So that's what I learned. So you use a combination of tactics, and this is just another tool in our arsenal to help us cross intersections, because those are very dangerous.
Manny, they recommend that you listen to one cycle.
Right.
Listen to one cycle. The other thing they recommend, if you're short, you have to move it up. If
Right.
you're tall, you can just hold it at chest level. If you're short, the one lady that's short, she had to hold it up towards her forehead.
Right, yeah, because these signs are oriented or placed probably right above a normal human height. So we're talking maybe 7 feet off the ground, 8, I don't know. And then some of them are even more different. You may have to be more creative. But you're right, you have to find it and then let it start beeping. And I guarantee
And
it'll work.
You have to sign a waiver when you download the app. And then the other thing, it's not supposed to take the place of any mobility aid or a dog
Right.
or anything like that. It's only in addition to.
Yeah, and the waiver says that we're not responsible. Like if you walk and it doesn't read the sign right, or if you heard it wrong, the makers of the app are not responsible for that. So so you always got to be careful. You always got to double and triple check before you do something, like that. And it's just an added little function here. Always use caution, especially around traffic, because sometimes they're not even looking, for you. So you got to be very careful. Any questions about the OKO?
Manny, I
Yes.
looked, there are reviews of OKO
Mhm.
and demos of OKO on YouTube.
Okay.
So that might be another way for people to get adapted to it. That's
true. And this works for anybody with low vision, or if they're completely blind. This will help you because it does give you the audible. And with low vision, at least we have a little bit of vision, and we can kind of see these big cars, maybe depending on your vision. So that kind of helps you not get into trouble, even if the app is giving you bad information. But I typically think the app will give you good information. That's what I'm thinking. So I haven't gone out and tried it yet on an intersection, but I probably should before I do these classes, so you can hear real world, stuff. I can't even get the sounds to work, so I hope it works out there. So that's my story. I'm sticking to it.
Let's
right.
use it at crossing Broadway and Camino Seco tomorrow.
That's right. Yeah. So we'll try it out tomorrow, and then maybe in the next class, I'll put a pin in this. I'll have this class recorded, and I will report back on the OKO app and my news items or whatever for next month. So,
at least the kids are out of school, so you won't have to deal with that.
yeah, that's true. That's true. The hardest thing, speaking of crossing intersections, don't you guys hate when they put those bump things, those dividers right where the crosswalk is? That to me is like the most irritating thing. I don't know why they do that. Because if you don't hit it just
That's
right,
a hazard too.
yeah. I mean, I've tripped over one before, and I'm lucky I didn't get run over one time. So I've always thought that was dangerous, but that was me not scanning properly with my cane. But still, it's very dangerous. So that's my little
It is,
soapbox.
you can fall.
Yes.
You can fall on those darn things.
Now I know in mobility, they get you to listen to the cars, but I've got enough sight to realize that sometimes those left turners, they're not in the traffic that's right in front of you, but they're sitting there in the right turners, and they're not paying any attention to anybody in the crosswalk
Mhm.
or who's about to get in the crosswalk.
That's a good point.
My hat's off to anybody who can do it without sight. Woo!
Yeah, it's what scares me is that those right turners who are not looking at the people on the crosswalk ready to cross, and the light goes green and then they look after they start proceeding, and it scares us to a minimum, or we get hit, and.
Right.
and
One
then-
of the advantage of the app is it keeps you going straight. That's a big advantage. But it doesn't, it
Oh.
stops beeping. So if you go left or right out of the crosswalk, it stops beeping. So you know immediately you're not going straight.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, so it's tough out there. Even with the app, you've got drivers who aren't looking, or who are looking at other cars and not looking at the crosswalks, and they take a gander at the crosswalks when they're right on the crosswalk, and it could be too late. So we have to
Or
always be,
those, or you have to be very careful with those new quiet cars that you
yes,
can't hear.
yes, that's right. So
Those
yeah,
are really dangerous.
they got some issues to work out, So there you go. That's OCO, kind of a halfway demonstration. I'm sorry about the tones. They worked great during my trial run earlier, but didn't record that for you. So sorry. All right, let's see what else we got here. Okay, we have. So the iPhone has the ability to use widgets. And does anybody know what widgets are? I know probably most of us have heard about them, but I don't know if anybody really knows what they really are.
I don't remember.
So widgets are kind of like live apps that they exist on your home screens. And what they're used for is to show you changing information. So the clock on your lock screen, that's always been a little clock widget that's showing you a changing time. It doesn't take over the whole screen. It actually takes up a small part of the screen, and it's a changing display. So you can use that analogy for anything like stocks or weather or stuff on your calendar. You can create these widgets on one of your home screens, and you can then, visually, or if you put your finger on it through VoiceOver, you can then hear information that's changing. And I can show you how to put them on your home screen. So I hope this works. Let's see.
6:58
Here
p.m.
we go.
Easy voice
Alrighty.
recorder.
So a widget, so if you remember the layout of your home screens, they're like in a grid pattern. You have icons that go like 4 across and maybe 8 down or 10 down. So you have a grid. These widgets typically take up 4 spaces of icons. So like a square, they're that big. That's like 4 icons worth of space. So the way you add widgets with VoiceOver on is you go down between the screen, the home screen, and the dock on the bottom, and there's this paging thing or a search button, whichever one you have. And
Page 4 of 4. Adjustable.
so what you do is you
Double
tap,
tap to open spotlight. Swipe up or down with
you tap and hold it, and then you get a widgets button on top. Okay, so let me try that. Let's see if it works.
top text field. Is editing. Siri suggestions. Siri suggestions.
Oops, sorry,
Heading.
I did it wrong. Hang on,
Easy voice recorder.
let's try that again.
Page 4 of 4. Adjustable. Started editing. Add widget.
So for those of you who can see, there's a little add widget button at the very top. So to get up there, if you're not using a little bit of vision, you do a 2-finger swipe up and it'll be the first thing it hits. So if I want to add a widget, I double tap on that button, and then I can pick a widget to add to this screen. So let's do that. I'm going to double tap.
Add widget.
And then I'm not going to search for a widget. I'm just going to go find one of the built-in ones there. So I'm going to do a 1-finger swipe to the right.
News. Reminders. List. News. TikTok. Trip. Snapchat. Mail. Mailbox. Widget.
So there's a mail widget. When you get new
Suggested.
emails, it can kind of show you more information than just a little number. But let's try something else.
Facebook. Instagram. Easy voice recorder. Hulu. Calendar. Up. Podcasts. Calendar. Up
But
next.
calendar's a good one.
Widget. Small.
So you, at a glance, if you have low vision, or if you just want to put your finger on the widget, you can know what's on your calendar. So we can try that. So I'll double tap on that one.
Sheet grabber. Button.
Then we have to
Double tap to dismiss sheet.
we have to confirm it. So I'm going to swipe to the right.
Sheet grabber. Sheet grabber. Add widget. Button. Calendar widget added. Add widget. Button.
So if I put my, and it looks like it takes up 4 of the squares where the icons used to be, and the icons are shifted over to accommodate the new widget. So if I put my finger on the widget, so well, let me finish editing here. Hang on, do that first.
Finished editing.
Yeah.
Calendar.
So if I go to my calendar widget,
Calendar. Tuesday, June 20th.
so
Actions available.
it's got the 20th on there. I'm going to swipe to the right because there's a little more information below it.
No more events today.
So I'm in the current event
Actions available.
today, and there's no more left for today. If there was, it would have it right there. It would have the next event that I would be doing. I'm in the current event because it's past 6:30, so it's not going to put it on this list. But you can do that with your calendar, with stocks, whatever you're tracking that changes, and you want to just at a glance get to the information without opening up a full-blown app. So that's what widgets do. And you can put them on a lock screen now, and you can put them on any of your home screens. If there's any questions about that offline, I can go into more detail about what each one does, because different widgets might do different things.
Screen dim.
So any question about widgets or what they do or how to put them on there?
Hunter, what are you doing?
All right. So let's go to the next thing. Let's see here. Widgets. Oh, I have a correction from last month. Okay. So I don't know if you guys remember last month's meeting, last month's Zoom meeting, and I erroneously told you that if you try to schedule a calendar event with Siri, and if you don't put a title, it acts differently than if you do put a title.
Calendar. No more events.
That was wrong. Okay. What they changed was the prompt. So before, when you create a calendar event, it would ask you for the name of it or whatever. And then the important piece is it would ask you for the date. And if you only gave it a date, it would then ask for the time. Okay. That was changed somehow, some way in one of these last updates. And I didn't know it had changed. I thought it was a bug. Okay. But what they're doing now, instead of asking you for the date and then the time, they're just asking you when is the meeting scheduled for. And what you do is you give it a date and a time all in one shot. Because if you only give it a date, it's going to assume that you want an all-day meeting. So that's the wires that I got crossed last time. I'm sorry about that. That was me not knowing what I was saying. So when you set up a meeting through Siri and it asks you when it is, just give it the date and most importantly the time if it's a non-all-day meeting like a specific time. So the script is you would call out to Siri and you would say new appointment titled Dr. Bob. Okay, and then it'll ask you when is this meeting or when is it scheduled for? And you would say tomorrow 3 p.m. If you wanted to make an all-day event, you would say tomorrow and then create an all-day event. So it's actually working correctly. I think it was not working correctly before and I got used to it. So I hope that clears up any confusion if you had any confusion about that from last time. I apologize for that. All right. So any questions on that? If not, I'm going forward. Let me see here. What's next? Oh, Barbara wanted me to review Uber and Lyft. And we're always reviewing this because this is one of these are a class of applications that a lot of us use. And they're always making little changes that trip us up, especially if we're not really looking at the screens to see the information. So for Uber and Lyft, you know, you always provide 3 pieces of information: where you're going, and then the car, if it's like a 3-person car, or if it's a 6-person van, or if it's luxury, blah, blah, blah. Typically, it's going to be the 3-person sedan. Okay? And then, of course, where are they picking you up? And I think these applications are way overcomplicated for what they need. If I were designing these apps, I'd have a drop down that says where you're going, have the last 10 places you went in this drop down list, or hit search button. And then the second piece would be automatically set to the 3-person sedan. And then the last one would be automatically set to where you're currently at. And then there'd be a button on the bottom that says book it. But no, we got to go through a bunch of screens and a lot of fodder on the screens to get to those pieces that we need. And when you're in a loud environment, or you get a little frustrated with it, you might like lose your place, and it's really hard sometimes. So always remember, the first screen on these apps is your destination. Once you set that, you get the car and the prices, and then confirm that. And then the last screen, you confirm where you're at. It'll tell you at the bottom where you're at. And if it's not the address that you're at, then you got to go in there and force it. And once you do that, you can then hit confirm the pickup. And then, of course, the car will be ordered for you. The only caveats outside of that is with Uber. If you're using VoiceOver and you have Uber and you want to cancel the ride, you're going to have to turn VoiceOver off and scroll to the bottom of the screen. For some reason in Uber, it doesn't go past a certain area of the screen that's above these buttons that allow you to modify the ride. So Lyft doesn't have this problem, but Uber does. And I'm thinking maybe I should submit some kind of bug report to them and let them know that that's a problem for us VoiceOver users. I haven't thought about doing that before. I probably should do it. Now that I got this on video, I'll be reviewing this later, and I'll get it done. So that's basically it for the review. I was just trying to make sure that you guys know that it's not hard to do, but you could get lost with, you know, the visual maps and everything else that it has on there. And if you're just VoiceOver and you're kind of going through all this stuff, you're going to see things like pick you up at this street, has nothing to do with what you're trying to do. You just got to ignore that stuff and just get to where you know you need to go. And hopefully that will make a better experience. And this is common with a lot of apps that are overdone, that are over-engineered. They put too much on there. It's like information overload. And we've got to learn as blind people how to muddle through that and ignore the stuff we don't care about. And the only way I know how to do that is just to practice using the app. That's basically it, or whatever app you're using. Any questions on Uber and
Manny,
Yeah.
can we elaborate a little bit?
Yeah.
First of all, the problem that I was having is the pickup. And once it puts the right pickup in there, you leave it alone. You don't double tap it. Anytime you double tap it, it thinks you're looking or want to change it. So,
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
okay, so that's a big one for me. Make sure that you get it in there and you don't double tap it once you've got it right. On Uber, once you confirm the pickup, you're right, it's coming. It's not like Lyft that says request a ride.
Right.
So both of those are very important.
Yeah.
On Lyft, in the menu part, you can donate to NFB, and what they will round the ride up and give the extra cents to the National Federation of the Blind.
Yeah.
On Lyft, you can put a note for the driver.
Sure.
another suggestion was to call the driver. When you get the driver, there's a button that says call driver. Call the driver and tell them that you're blind or whatever you need to tell them. Some people even have the person honk twice, which I thought was maybe good too, with no right car. You always want to say, who are you looking for, to make sure it's the correct driver.
That's right. Yeah. And another way to help the driver out is to put a picture of yourself so they can spot you in a crowd. So if you're at an event and everybody's ordering Uber, you know, how does the driver find you without a picture? You know, so that might be a good thing to add to your profile. Just have someone snap a picture of you or take a picture of yourself, and add it to your profile, and that'll help the driver connect to you.
One thing also is that some of the Uber Lyft drivers don't answer their phone when you're trying to call them.
Right.
And then you go to text and a message to them, and then they don't read that either.
Yes, you get those. Yeah. And then you got the reverse of that too. If you have your phone on silence unknown callers and they call you, if you're not watching the phone or you don't hear it, they'll go straight to voicemail too. So you're right, Gina. It's got to open up on both sides to be sure the lines of communication are open in case you need them. And drivers need to be more cognizant of that, especially for visually impaired folks or disabled folks. You know. Yeah.
Yeah.
And this is Patty. And also just leave your app open, because they're sending you progress, you know, where your driver is and all that, the car, and you know, they send you all kinds of stuff. One of the drivers told me when it's open, they could see a little spot as they're getting closer to you. Obviously, if you don't have a picture of you, they could see you with their, you know, GPS kind of a thing, because you have the app open.
That's very good, Patty. That's exactly such a good piece of advice. And you know, you should open the app, book the ride, and leave it open until you get home and put the tip in. You know, while the app is open, and then close the app after that. That's what I do, and I think that's such an important thing that Patty said. You know.
This is Lupita. I was just gonna say that if you do close the app with the Lyft app, you get a vibration. It will actually vibrate, and it won't stop vibrating until you close it. And sometimes I even have to use the app switcher to close it. Just to, yeah, because it lets you know that the driver's a few minutes away.
Yeah, that's very good. Thank you, Lupita. That's a good piece of advice for us, because it's so easy to get confused in that little scenario. Trust me, with the loud noises everywhere and trying to coordinate. Yeah, it's tough. So any little thing helps us.
The other thing is you can only call for help once the driver is driving you home. There's a help button right there, and there's a live person you can call. And I didn't read it, but they have a new security thing where you can hit security. And then if you set it up on the iPhone, you can share your location with somebody ahead of time.
That's right.
Oh, that's pretty good. Yeah, and that's a good thing if you're worried, especially you know, anybody who feels threatened should always do that. You know, that's a real good point, Barbara. Yeah. Yeah, I hope that helped a little bit. And if anybody needs me to talk to them privately about this, not in the public forum, I'll be happy to talk and tell you what I know, and share what I've done. So maybe that'll help you. So that's the hope. So, all right.
Manny?
Yes.
Manny, it's Maggie.
Yes.
This is a little bit off the Uber thing, but it happened to me Wednesday after, you know, you had come down and we had our lesson. I find out that, I missed my ride. Well, I didn't miss it. He missed me. Now, this was in Sundan. And it didn't come, and I called, and they said, well, you were a no-show. I said, I couldn't be a no-show. I was sitting in the lobby of the 19th hole. Well, it turns out that a big FedEx truck had parked. The driver stopped on the far side of the thing. He couldn't see me. He did not know I was blind, and he just went on. And if you're getting a driver, be sure and tell them there's getting more and more that they don't know to come in and look for you if it's not somebody they know.
Wow.
Yeah,
I think that
we ended up,
Huh.
and it wasn't anybody's fault. It's just that they're getting very bad about putting notes, you know, with dog, doesn't see well, blind. And they used to be real good about it, and they're not anymore.
Yeah, that's a problem.
Yeah.
That ties into what Gina said about them not answering their phones. They need to be in the public service business when they're on, and maybe that's going to take a little bit of legislation or something to fix, you know, behavioral issues with these drivers. You know, because we really need them to be spot on with this, not you know, act like a teenager.
Well, mine was a new driver, so nobody had told him, "Hey, she's wandering on," and it was hot, and he thought, "Well, there's somebody out there." So, I mean, we did get it straightened, but if I hadn't called, I would have, you know, there, and it was about 3:30 before I finally got picked up instead of 2:00.
Right. Now, I'm curious, Maggie, with you, just real quick. Do you still have on your picture?
Sure.
I know we said blind with dog or something like that. I remember, didn't we make your
Yeah.
picture that so they know that you're visually impaired? If they
Right,
dare.
and
Yeah.
but the thing is, they don't always put it on the manifest for the driver.
Okay.
And that's what happened this time. He thought I would be out looking for him and running out to meet him, and I'm sitting in the lobby,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and no driver, no driver, no driver. And so when I called and they told me, well, you didn't show up. Well, back and forth, we went around and found that he had been the other side of a FedEx truck. He was expecting me to be out looking around to see him. I was expecting him to come to the door. Sometimes he does. Sometimes he's out there. And Falcon knows the vans, and he will get up and, you know, just about tell me. But those things can happen, and sometimes if it's too big a gap, you may sit there for 2 hours more while they have to rearrange your pickup.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not a good situation, that's for sure.
Now, so they've said when you make a ride, don't count on them having it on their manifest. They remember to let the driver know, you know, there's a big black dog and I don't see.
Yeah. I guess we have to help them find us sometimes, and unfortunately for us, that's a hard thing to do. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. That's good stuff. Good stuff. Any other questions about Uber, Lyft, or even paratransit like Suntran? Or we can talk about that. All right. Well, the next one that I have here is called Clue Maps, and this is something that Barbara turned me on to. And what it is, it's an app that allows you inside of a house or a building, allows you to store a route. So the way you do it is you mark the beginning of the route. Then, so you got to create the route. So you start the beginning and you mark the beginning, and I'll tell you how you do this in a second. And then you do the route, then you say, I'm at the end of the route. And then when you get back there, your phone can tell you through walking directions how to redo the route. And I know in your home, you probably know your home, you know how to get around, or maybe some people still have a problem getting around in their home. They could use it for that. But this is really good for like, if you need to store the route in a place that you're visiting, or a business wants to make their business 100% accessible. They could have these routes stored. You could tap them, and then you could go find an office, or go find whatever, a kiosk, or whatever it is that you're looking for. So the way it works is that it uses these kind of little credit card things that you buy. They're called NFC cards. NFC stands for Near Field Communications. That's a lot of words. And what that means is that you put your phone right up to it, it can talk to it. Kind of like the way you tap and pay with your credit card. It's that same technology, except your phone and these little cards that you buy work in the same fashion. So you, instead of tapping your phone with the card, you put your phone close to the card, and that's the beginning of the route. And then you can tell it that I want to take that route, and then it will give you walking directions all the way there. It'll tell you to turn left, walk, turn right, go around this, go around that, and it'll do that whole thing. So this app, you can get it, but you also need to get a thing called NFC, these NFC tags, okay? And they're about $1 each, and they contain a little chip in them that supports this NFC function I was just talking about. So to do this, you take one of these cards and you say, I want to create a route, and you put it in the place where you want to create the route. You tape it or attach it somehow, and then you do what I said before, you create the route. Then when you come back later on and you want to take that route again and you don't remember how to get there, you can turn the app on, put your phone to it, it'll say Barber's route, or route to kiosk, or whatever it is. And then you'll say, okay, let's do it. And then it'll tell you to start walking, and it'll tell you when to do turns and all this good. And it'll tell you when to stop, and it'll tell you right there in front of it. So it's a neat little technology, and I'm playing with it right now. I got the app, and I just got in those NFC cards, and I'm going to play with it here. I would like to maybe, if we ever get a chance, to demo this properly in front of the group, but I don't know if that's going to happen. But that's the right way to see it in action, or hear it in action, is to do it that way, to do it live. So yeah, it's kind of a cool little app. So with the minimal investment set of routes.
Manny.
Yeah.
Manny, you're saying you can put those little cue cards on a building, or some, like in a medical office, and they're okay with it?
I don't know if they're okay with it. That's the whole thing. But in theory, you could do that. Like, or you could set it up. So let's say you're going to, I don't know, like a conference. Let's say you're going to an NFB conference, and you want to set up a route to the main meeting room, and you're like far away from it. Well, you can set up the card like maybe in your room, and then you could you could have a sighted person or somebody help you do the route the first time, and then the next day when you want to go back to that meeting room, you could do this thing where you grab the route, and then it tells you how to get there, walking directions, and it'll tell you when you've arrived as you walk in. And this is just for indoors. This is not outdoors. I haven't tried it yet, but that's the promise of it. And from what I've seen on videos, it works great. So yes.
Isn't that kind of similar to like a GPS little monitor?
I don't know what that is.
Well, I don't know what the name of it is, but it's a little box that you said like a sighted person takes you, and you set like little places where you're like, what street you're on, and you go another block or two, and it will tell you what street you're on, and so you can walk to and from wherever you want to go.
That's more of a
Isn't that
GPS function, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah, isn't that kind of similar to what you're talking about now, except you're putting out little bitty strips of chips or something?
Yeah, it's basically kind of sort of similar. Yes. So what it is your phone is using sort of kind of GPS technology to get you around. So you can walk independently without help if that's what you want to do, and
Wouldn't it be just as easy to get a GPS monitor to do that?
well, see, the problem with GPS, and I shouldn't use GPS for this indoor stuff that I'm talking about because it uses a slightly different technology. GPS is more, it's less granular. It's like for finding buildings or finding intersections and streets. It's not room by room granular, at least not as far as I know. What this does, this allows you to, within a building, within a small space, create a route. But GPS, I don't think works at that level, like in 20 feet or 30 feet. GPS works like a little bit broader than that. It can get you close, but it can't get you to home plate kind of thing.
I'll have to ask Bill because he has a GPS and he uses
Uh-huh.
it a lot. So,
Yeah,
But,
I have to find out
you know-
what's there.
Generally, GPS is for outside.
yeah.
That's my
For
understanding.
outside,
yeah.
because there's no walls, there's no nothing to block the information. This is for inside, and you can use it in a big building, a big hotel, that kind.
Well, that would be great, but I don't know how you're going to be able to put those on there and be confident that someone's not going to take them off.
That's
while
always,
you're,
yeah, that could happen.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
and I don't even know if they would let you do it or not.
Yeah. If they do let you do it, it would be nice.
Yeah, that'd
don't
be
know.
awesome.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm playing with it now, and I got more to report on that when I start playing around with it in my house, or
Mm.
and if I
But
can
that
get it
could
to,
be quite, it could be get to be quite expensive, obviously, if your little gadgets get taken or moved.
well, they're only about $1 each, but you probably wouldn't. You could probably reuse them, and so you could clear out a route and then reuse that card somewhere else. So if you have like 8 or 10 of them, that should be plenty. I mean, unless you got a lot of routes you want to do.
Mhm.
But
How do they
you're right.
attach?
That's I don't know. I got a package from Amazon with the cards, and I guess you would just tape them. There's nothing wrong with taping them or putting them on something. That's a good question, Gina, and I don't have the good answer for you. I just assume you tape them. That's what I would do. Because it's not a visual thing at all. It's not visual. It's you put it close to it and it's a proximity kind of thing. So if there it is, okay, boom, and then the phone takes over, and then you can do the route. Then the chip is done.
Is the chip a small, item?
It's like
Or...
a credit card chip. It's like embedded in the card. It's a real small little thing.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
Interesting.
the reason it works is because the chip has the NFC functionality, but your Apple iPhone also has it built in as well. So they talk to each other, and they got to be real close. They got to be within an inch or two, because it's really close communication. That's why they call it near field communication. It's not like you can hold it a foot away. It's got to be like an inch or two. Like if you're paying with a credit card, you got to put it real close. That kind of stuff. Yeah.
Okay.
Patty, I saw it. They were doing a little report on it, and they were doing this new student, blind student going to college, and they did the whole where the laundry room was, the steps to the friend that was in the other building, and it was so funny because she was saying, she did her own information, right? 5 steps, take a right at whatever, and it was exactly, I mean, she couldn't see nothing, and she was the black door, the white door, whatever. It was so detailed.
Yeah.
I thought that was real neat. And then a little boy was able to walk to his friend's house with all the information.
Cool.
Just down the street, labeling that. That was pretty cool.
Yeah. I think it's a great thing. I mean, I'm not even sure how the technology works for the routes. I know how it works with the cards, but once your phone takes over after that, I'm not sure how it does that. So that's a mystery to me. I haven't done enough reading on it to give you a good explanation. And that was a good question, Gina, about GPS. I don't think it's using GPS, but it might. I don't know. So
Okay,
yeah.
thank you.
Yeah, and then you're welcome. And remember, it's called Clue Apps. I think it's spelled CLEW, if I'm not mistaken. Clue App. Clue,
Oh, okay.
what is it called?
And
Clue
you
Map.
just
Clue Map.
Clue
itself.
Maps.
Yeah.
And you ordered that off of the Amazon.
Well, yeah, you download the app first for free, and then in the app they'll have a recommended link to Amazon for the NFC little card things. Okay.
Oh, okay.
And then they're like 18 or 20 bucks for a pack of, I don't know, 15 of them or something like that. Should do you fine. That should be plenty. And then you can start using the app.
Alrighty.
Yeah.
Sounds exciting. Okay.
All right. Glad you guys liked it. That's good. Any more questions about Clue Map? All righty.
Danny, is that what? I'm sorry, this is Lupita.
Yeah, hi, Lupita.
When you put these labels on things, can you make these labels of anything?
Yes. So, what you do is they're all the same. All these cards are the same, and you don't really label the card per se. The phone knows the card because each of them has an individual, for lack of a better term, like a unique identifier inside of them, the cards. So when you put them on the wall and you assign a route to it, that it'll know that one is a unique card all by itself. You could also reassign a route to it, totally different place. So the phone is in charge of all that, but the cards themselves, they just know their number and they give it to the phone. That's all they do. Okay. So.
But you can't use it for something like labeling items in the home or anything. It's for routes.
It's strictly for
No.
routes. Yeah, strictly for routes. And for low vision people, I won't go down that road today. Let me play with it first, and then I've got a low vision thing that I wanted to share, but I don't really know it enough yet, and I want to confuse people. But yes, Lupita, you could set it. For example, let's say you're in a place and you want to establish like 5 routes. Set up like 5 cards and do 5 different routes, and you could scan over them.
Alexa, what time is it?
And you could
3 p.m.
you could say like I want to do this one, or I'll go to the next one. I want to do that one, and it'll tell you what routes are assigned to those cards, and then you can take that route. So most of the magic happens on your phone. The cards are just dead chips that just tell it.
Pretty crazy.
So,
Okay.
yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Okay. Onward and forward. Let's see what we got here. Okay. I was going to talk about how your phone can recognize plants, images of plants. So I've got an email from a person here, and they took a picture of a plant, and I wanted to demo that to you. So it can recognize animals and stuff, but it can also recognize plants. So I wanted to do that. Let me get in here.
7:35 p.m.
Let me get in here. So, all right, go to mail.
Tuesday, mail 7:35 p.m.
All right, here we go.
Status.
Let's see, let's go down here.
Uber Eats, C P Barbara XBD Pim account Barbara CR unread. GoDaddy Barbara.
Sorry, it's a little further down.
Hunter McPherson.
I think Hunter sent it to me. Let me go here.
22/20.
So
message content.
I got a picture, and I want to try to show it on the screen. So it's a picture of some kind of violet plant, flowering plant. I don't know if you guys can see that from here, but I'm going to put my finger on it and see if it can recognize it. Okay, let's give it a shot.
IMG_0749 JPG. Image.
Okay.
No. Actions available. A group of pink flowers in front of the white background.
So I don't know if I can get more information. So I have to double tap on the image to open it up.
IMG_0749 Jake toolbar. Detected item info button.
So the toolbar at the bottom, when I open an image, there's an info button. So let's go there and see what it says.
Detected item info. Detected item.
And let's see.
Moth orchid. Siri knowledge. Heading. Moth orchids. Phalaenopsis, also known as moth orchids, is a genus of about 70 species of plants in the family Orchidaceae. Orchids in this genus are monopodial.
Anyway.
Wow.
That's all above my head. But basically, these are pink or purple flowers. I have no idea what color they're. they're colorful. That's all I know. And they're the genus whatever. Okay, and then let's see what else.
Orchid.
Moth orchid. Phalaenopsis.
So I guess they're called moth orchids. Okay.
Similar web images. Button.
So kind of what it does too, because of all this new AI stuff, there are images of other plants that look like this, and they have labels on them. So they're called moth orchid images. And, you know, we got so much data out there that it can quickly go out and compare and say, oh, this image looks a lot like those over there, and they're called moth orchids. So that's how it pulls up stuff. And of course, once it has the name of the flower or the plant or whatever it is, it can then go to, you know, wherever, go to Wikipedia and get the genus and all that good stuff about how to water it and everything else. So that's kind of.
So you have to take a picture of it?
Well, I think you can do it in the viewfinder, but I always like to take a picture and so I don't have to hold the camera. And then once you get a picture of the plant, you can then double tap on the picture and then tap on the information, and then it'll try to describe it the way it did this moth orchid thing. So yeah, it should work. So, and again, this works on just about anything now because we have so much data out there, you know, dogs, cats, again, do the species, calicos, whatever, and it'll get you a lot of information about that. So
Right.
we're not.
Manny, we took a picture of Ellie and it identified what kind of cat she was and how
Oh,
she had to be female and everything else. According to the
really?
television.
That's great.
So
Wow.
it's amazing the amount of information you get.
And what this means to us, obviously, is that we can point our phone at some orchids or an animal, and it can explain, it can tell us what it is. So yeah, it might be meow and it's a cat, but this thing can tell us what kind of cat it is. And like Barbara said, is it female, male, you know, and all kinds of cool stuff. And I think plants are a great thing too. You can identify plants, and the world's getting better in that respect for us. So I'm pretty happy about that.
So is that a special app or is that just on your picture?
Nope, this
Your,
comes right built into the iPhone.
Comes in the camera, huh? Okay.
It's all baked in. So what I did,
Nice.
Gina, is I opened an image that Hunter sent me on an email. He snapped a picture, and then what I did is I opened it up and blew it up to full size. And when it does that, it knows to try to look for information that you might want to see about it. And at the bottom, there's an information icon. You double tap, and that's where it did all that crazy talk about whatever, the Latin names and everything. But
nice. Okay.
really good. You know, you cannot, because you know, you ever wonder, even when you're sighted, what kind of plant is that? That's the prettiest flower I've ever seen. You just put your camera on it and get the information. And then you feel like 10 times smarter because you can figure it out yourself. So
yeah, you've got the information right away then.
Yeah.
That's even better.
And actually, this one I didn't practice before, so I wasn't sure if it was going to work. I never know this thing's going to work right. So the things that I don't think are going to work actually work, and then those sounds, they don't work, but they worked great earlier. So I don't know. Okay.
You're
any
just not
questions about?
touching it right.
That's right. That's right. Any questions about image recognition on the iPhone? All right, we're gonna go to the next thing then. Okay. So I'm bringing this next subject up not because there's a problem, but I just wanted you to have this in case you attend a Zoom meeting where you've got a lot of people. So So don't worry, this is not a statement of what's going on here with us. We have a nice, cool little meeting and people chime in and it works perfectly. But if you get into a more formal setting, like maybe the NFB, an NFB Zoom meeting or ACB or even like a Savvy or some other place where you need to be a little more, I don't know how to use a little more etiquette, maybe. I don't know the right word for that. Again, so typically when you're in a Zoom meeting and you are not speaking in those scenarios that I just mentioned, not our meeting, but in those scenarios, okay, you typically want to mute yourself. So if you're on a meeting on your iPhone and you want to mute yourself and you have voiceover on, you do 2-finger double tap to mute yourself and you will be muted. You'll still be able to hear the meeting just fine, okay? But any sounds that are happening on your end will not go into the meeting. Because when you get to a big meeting where you got like 50 people, and it's formal, it's got an agenda, and you hear like a lot of stuff coming in, it tends to be kind of mind-numbing. Sometimes what they'll do is the host will just mute everybody, and you must raise your hand, and then they will let you talk. That's a more regimented way of doing it. But there's some meetings where it's voluntary. So if it's voluntary and you're on a big meeting like that, you might want to use the mute option. And of course, if you need to speak and you've been muted, you'll go over to, I forget the button that's on the Zoom meeting. Anyway, I think it's more, and the first thing is you have a raise hand option, and you double tap on that, and VoiceOver will say raise hand. And then the host will unmute you, and then you can then do your thing. And then he or she will then mute you again. Okay. So it's just some Zoom etiquette to pass along in case you're in a different meeting where they're adhering to like strict protocols of some kinds.
Manny, underneath the more is add to chat.
Oh, it is? Okay.
Because a lot of these, they don't even let you talk. The only thing you can do is type a question in the chat.
That's right. Yeah. Zoom
Or
does support.
dictate a question in the chat, I should say.
That's right. That's right. So the great thing about the Zoom software is that while the meeting's going, you could be chatting with one of the participants in the meeting or multiple if you have a group chat. So that's kind of cool. And then none of your chat stuff will end up in the meeting. It'll just be a private conversation.
Yeah, but the first one is all. And usually when you do the chat, you put the question to all, and then they'll answer it.
Right. Yeah. So yeah. Any questions about that now or later? I'll be available. So yeah, mute and unmute is 2-finger double tap, and then behind the button there's raise hand to get the host's attention or whoever is doing the meeting hosting or moderation. So, all right. So if there's no questions about Zoom, I'm going to the next one. I think you're going to like this. So I spoke about this before, like I think 2 months ago. This whole Chat GPT AI thing. There's an app for the iPhone where you can play with it. Okay, and hang on a second. I need some water. So what you can do is you can download the app. It's free. You got to answer like you got to give them your email and your phone number and all that stuff. But they don't need anything more than that. You got to verify it. But once you get all that done, you can use their AI language model, the Chat GPT thing, and you can have it do some interesting things. So maybe I'm going to demo that to you now. So, and what it is, before I start, it's the new AI thing that they've been talking about, and it really has some really advanced features that you guys might like. So let me get in here and show it.
7:45 p.m.
I will love you forever.
Male. Not orchid. Phalaenopsis amabilis.
I still love joy.
All right. Hey Siri. Open Chat GPT.
Chat GPT menu button.
So the screen is very simple. It's surprisingly very simple screen. It's a big fat chat window that takes up almost the whole screen. And then you got a little place at the very bottom where you can dictate your stuff in there. Does anybody have a question that they want me to ask Chat GPT? If not, I'll just think of something. Okay, well, I'm gonna do it. Let's see here.
New message. Text field. New message.
So one of the things that it can do is it can do like a rhyme. Let's say I want it to do a rhyme. I want it to create a rhyme, and I'm going to give it like 2 or 3 things that this rhyme is going to be about, and it'll create it based on its language model, and you'll be surprised. So the thing I'm going to tell it is I'm going to give it Barbara's name. I'll throw you into the bus, Barbara's name, and then I'm going to give it TSB, and then blind community. Let's see what it generates, and I'm going to ask it to put it into a rhyme, and let's see what it makes for us. So do that.
Space.
Oops, wait a minute.
Dictate button.
So when I go to
Double tap to start.
that bottom thing where I type in, I'm going to dictate in there, just like you would any other text box. I'm going to do that now. Create. Oops. Don't do that.
Inserted create oops hat pen.
Hang on a second.
Oh. Escape.
All right, take 2.
Pen.
Take 2. Take 2.
Dictate button.
Create a rhyme with Barbara McPherson, TSB, and the blind community.
Inserted create a rhyme with Barbara McPherson, TSB, and the blind community.
Okay, I have no idea what it's going to say. So here we go. It's going to be totally unknown.
Button.
I'm going to send it.
Send. In the realm of giving, Barbara McPherson. Together with TSB, Broad Compassion Son. Supporting the blind community with dedication. Empowering their dreams. A beacon of inspiration.
So that's the rhyme it made. So that's what this thing does. It takes what I've given it, and it compiles things to go in it and to create a rhyme in this case. So you can hear things, you can have it say, well, write me a 5-paragraph paper or compose this music. It can do all of that. So it's not just you ask it a question and it finds a definition, or it goes to an encyclopedia and reads out just what's there. It actually plays with the language, with linguistics. So I thought it'd be pretty cool. So does anybody else have any questions about that, or do you want me to ask it a question and see what it answers? I'll be happy to do it. So, let's see if I can think of anything else. All right, let me ask it a silly question, and then we'll stop with that. How's that? So I'm going to ask it a real dumb question. So I'm good at that. So here we go. I'm going here.
New message. Text field. Is editing.
Okay. What's the difference between chai tea and tai chi? Question.
Inserted. What's the difference between chai tea and tai chi? Send. Button.
So that's a real dumb question. So I'm going to try that.
Send.
That's
Chai
great.
and chi are quite distinct. One's a soothing drink. The other's a form of technique. Chai tea is a spice, aromatic delight. And tai chi is a martial art, flowing and light. So sip on chai tea for warmth and flavor, or practice tai chi for balance and inner favor.
Fine. Isn't that crazy? So that's the kind of stuff it does. So it's fun to play with, and it's called Chat GPT, and it's free. So
You want to get the one by Opportune.
what's that, Barbara? I didn't hear you. I'm sorry.
You want to get the one by I believe it's Opportune.
I think the company is OpenAI, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, okay.
I could be wrong about that. But, well, what I'm using is OpenAI, the company name.
I know it's OpenAI, but I thought it was by Opportune. It's the parent company.
Okay. All right, that's my show and tell with Chat GPT. Ask it anything. Sorry, did I miss something? Okay. All right, so I'm gonna close this.
Calendar. Apps. ChatGPT.
All right, let's
Hi,
see.
Judy.
Let's see what's next. Oh, and by the way, Chat GPT is spelled chat, of course, and then Gary Paul Tech, GPT. So, all right, so show and tell, let's see. Okay, another thing I wanted to go over was a couple of phone settings. So we had mentioned before in the class about silencing unknown callers, but there's a few other settings in phone that might be worth reviewing. So I'm going to open up settings.
Mail. Active.
What's that? Hey Siri, open settings. So I'm not gonna,
Hotspot.
I'm gonna just search for silence unknown callers. It's really under settings and then phone. Phone's way down the list, so I don't want to bore you with all the voiceover talking.
Search. Search field. Search field.
Okay. Silence unknown callers. Okay.
Search results. Silence unknown callers. Silence unknown callers.
Okay. So let me get down here to silence unknown callers.
SMS/call block. Text. Silence unknown callers. Off.
So when you turn silence unknown callers on, basically what it does is if they're not in your contacts or if they're not in your recent call history, they're going to be silenced and they'll be sent to voicemail. And there's an explanation that it gives. Let me find that so you guys can hear it straight from Apple.
Silence unknown callers.
Mute.
Unknown callers.
All right.
Off.
So
Calls from unknown numbers will be silenced, sent to voicemail, and displayed on the recent list. Incoming calls will continue to ring from people in your contacts, recent outgoing calls, and Siri suggestions.
So that's what it does. And the reason you'd want to turn that on, if you do that, is so that people you don't know can't call you. So these guys that are trying to get a hold of you via the phone or see if you're there, but what'll happen is they'll be routed to voicemail, and they won't even ring. It's kind of like they're blocked almost. So except they're not blocked, they can can still do whatever. So that's kind of a nice setting if you want to sort of get rid of the people calling you that shouldn't be calling you, and you don't want to deal with it every time they call you. The problem is if a doctor calls you that you haven't got in your contacts, they'll go to voicemail. So I don't know unless you create a contact for your doctor, if they call you from their phone line, and sometimes their phone aren't the same numbers, they'll call you from a slightly different number. So that could be problematic if you have doctors calling. So that don't use the consistent number. So anyway, that's kind of what that is. Let me go
Manny,
back.
you
Yeah.
can also mention that Siri will call back the last caller.
That's right. One thing I forgot to mention, you guys, is you can tell Siri to call the last caller, and she'll do that. She'll look in your call history and dial it for you. So that's kind of an easy way to get your last caller get back on the phone. So let me see here. Boom, boom, boom.
Silence and known.
There's a few other settings in the phone app that I think are worth pointing out. I'm gonna go up to them. I'm just trying to remember which ones they are. Let me see real quick. Hang on a second.
Show my caller ID button.
Actually, show your caller ID. You can turn that on or off. So no big deal there.
Call waiting button.
Call waiting.
Call
Call
forwarding.
forwarding.
Respond with text button.
So respond with text. If you go into that, that happens when you can't take the call. Let's say you're on a call, and you want to send a text. You can put some messages in there, but there's some standard boilerplate ones that say, "Can I call you later?" or whatever. And you can send a text to the person you're calling while you're on the phone with another person. You can actually manipulate that because your phone can handle multiple things at the same time. You could be on a call. You could send a text. You could receive a text. There could be a mail coming in, whatever else. That's why your phone is the way it is. It can handle all those things at the same moment in time. So we'll keep going real quick. I thought I saw some other ones that were interesting.
Calls on other devices. When nearby. Button.
And if you got multiple devices, like you got an iPad and they're all synced up to the same iCloud account, well, you can answer a call from your phone on the iPad because it'll ring there too. I've got that set up on my phones. If someone rings me on this phone and it's on the charger across the house, and I've got my secondary phone there, well, it'll send the call to that phone, and then I can answer it on that phone. Or if I had an iPad, same thing. So that's what that's all about there. Let me just see a few more.
Wi-Fi calling.
Okay, Wi-Fi calling, that's come in handy in places where you have low cellular signal. So if you got 1 of 4 bars, but you're at your home and you're just not getting good cellular service, well, you turn this Wi-Fi calling option on, and what it does is it uses your broadband that you have in your home to assist your call. And it usually makes a dramatic difference if you've got very spotty or bad cellular service in the area. And that's why it exists. It augments that. Let me just see.
Calls. Yeah, my number.
Okay, that's it. I just wanted to do those few just to tell you that there's some phone settings you may want to look at some point in time. And remember, it's settings and then phone, and then inside the phone settings were these things. And there's more below, but I won't go into them now. They're probably not germane to what I was trying to show you with the silence unknown callers thing. Okay, any questions about phone settings that just went over, or any questions at all about phone? All right, well, we're gonna keep going then. Let's see. Okay, so one thing we haven't talked about yet is a thing that iPhone has. It's called phone lockdown mode. Has anybody ever heard of that before? If not, I'm going to explain it to you. So let me find that setting. I think it's
Settings.
under privacy.
Setting. Search feed.
Let me go in here. Cancel.
Cancel. Button. Settings. Heading. Search. Search field. Search fields.
And I'm going to search for lockdown mode. Let's do that. Lockdown mode.
Attachment. Search results. Lock sound. Enable caps lock. General search field. Is editing. Lockdown mode. Character mode. E. D. Cat L.
Let's try that again. Lockdown mode.
Inserted lockdown mode. Search result. Auto lock. Display auto lock. Search field. Is editing. Search results. Lock sound. Sounds.
iPhone. Okay, let me just go down there. When I was doing this earlier, I found it and it's not finding it now.
Enable caps lock. Auto lock. Display auto lock. Caps lock. Allow Siri when locked. Suggestions on lock screen. Allow access. Lockdown mode.
There it is.
Privacy and security.
So under privacy and security, there's a thing called lockdown mode. There.
Lockdown mode. Lockdown mode. Front settings. Back button. Safety check. Protect your analytics and improve Apple offered. Add privacy security. Lockdown mode. On.
So on the screen, under privacy and security, there's a thing called lockdown mode. I'm going to let it explain it because it does it better than me. So I'm gonna open it.
Lockdown mode. On. Lockdown mode.
So here's what the explanation of lockdown mode is.
Lockdown mode is an extreme, optional protection that should only be used if you believe you may be personally targeted by a highly sophisticated cyber attack. Most people are never targeted by attacks of this nature. When iPhone is in lockdown mode, it will not function as it typically does. Apps, websites, and features will be strictly limited for security, and some experiences will be completely unavailable.
So the reason for this mode is to allow you to diagnose if you think a hacker has compromised your phone. And what it does is it does things like if you get a text message or an email and there are any links in it, it'll disable those links so you can't tap on them. It'll do drastic measures. So I recommend this if you think your phone's been compromised. Now, I'm not talking about you get a text message from somebody and you don't know who it is. That's not being compromised. That means that the phone is acting wacky and you think someone is got infected your phone. And that's what this is for. Typically when that happens, you would probably pay a visit to Apple, put it in lockdown mode, and then let them figure it out, because they're the experts. But this gives you a little peace of mind knowing that whoever is trying to get to your phone will be completely shut out if you do this mode. You can still make calls, you can still do lots of things, but a lot of things will be stopped because for safety reasons. So that's what this is for, lockdown. And for example, I got something today. In fact, let me show you guys. I'm going to show you what I'm talking about. So
Calendar.
I got a
Tuesday.
text message today from an unknown person. Okay, so I'm going to go in there and show it to you.
Message.
Now,
Mess.
I never opened the text
8:02
message.
p.m.
I just know it's not from somebody that I know. So let me get to it, and then you can hear what it says. It's just one word actually. So let me go over there.
Conversations. +1 740 910 5687. Unread. K.
Hey.
2:07 a.m.
I have no idea who this is.
Actions available.
So why would somebody do this? They're doing this so they can see if I'm a live person on this end. Okay. If I open the text, they may or may not get a notification that the text was delivered or that I read it. Okay. So what I want to do on this, anytime you get unknown text that you're not sure of, what you want to do is you want to block them first, and then you want to delete the text. You don't really want to open it. I mean, there's no reason to open it if you don't know who it is, because it could be something dangerous. So if I were to open it, and let's say there was a link in there, I could then tap on that link and I might infect my phone. And then I would have to use that lockdown mode I was just talking about. So I don't want to ever have to do that. So when I get a strange thing in that I'm not aware of, and all they're saying is, hey, that means they want to see if I'm a true person that they can market to or do something worse. So the way you get rid of text messages that way is you swipe up until you get to the more option. So I'm going to do that now.
Drag item. Delete. Hide alerts. Mark as read. Pin +1. Activate. Drag item.
Oh wait, on these text messages, you open them up and then you do it from the top. I forgot. This is not. I was thinking of something else. So we do that.
+1.
But you don't do any
7,
response,
4, 0.
don't do anything to it. You just go to the very top.
Messages. Heading. Search. Compose. More. Messages. Filters. Back button.
Oops, what was it?
Messages. More. Button. Compose. Button. Search. Search field. Filters. Filter. Messages.
Hold on, I'm not. Hang on a second.
All messages. 1. Conversations. Drag here to pin.
All right.
Conversations. +1. Maggie Hagan. Could use +1. Chica Green. Janet. Barbara Mc. Mike Rock. Carol. Diane Belleron. Jeanette. Carol Sellis. Carol Sellis. Hi JR.
Hang on a second.
Mike Rice. Barbara Mc. Janet. Chica Green. +1. Maggie Hagan. +1. 740. Cancel drag. Drag cancel.
All right, try that again. So I'm going to go into it.
Drag activate. Messages. +1.
Now I'm not going to respond. And so when you get a message like this, even though it says, hey, it's just text, it's not going to bother you. At the bottom of it, it'll tell you here what's going on.
Messages. The sender is not in your contact list. Report junk. Button.
You can report junk right there if you want. But what I would suggest is you go in to the top
+1 7.
where the number is, you double tap on it.
Double tap to dismiss pop-up with conversation details. Share my location. Button. Hide alerts. Mail. Tip. Video. Call. +1. Call. Video. Mail. Info.
Go to info.
Message. Tip phone. Rows 1 to 6 of Block this caller.
You want to block it. So you never get one from that number again.
Blocked it alert. You block contact.
And
Unblock
then
this caller.
there's a second thing that you should do after you block it.
+1 double tap to dismiss done button. Double tap to selected. Back button. Back button.
So what you want to do after that is you want to go ahead and just delete it.
Conversations. +1. Drag item. Delete. Alert. This conversation. Delete. Delete and report junk.
You could delete and report junk too. That's just a double whammy there. So you do that,
Conversation.
then that person's gone. Okay. And it seems like a lot of steps. They should make this more simple. You should just be able to swipe up and say block. That would be nice, but they make you go through a bunch of stuff to do this. But it's worth it to keep these people off of your phone. So anytime you get any kind of text messages that are unsolicited, that you don't know about, always and forever, block them and then delete them. And don't click on any images, don't click on any links or any, don't even worry about it, because it's probably bad stuff that they're trying to do. Okay, any questions about that? Let's see here. Oh, and the same thing, you know, if you get a call that you're not familiar with, let's go do
Just
that.
filter. 2
So I
apps.
got a call today from a spam person.
Doc. Phone.
So you open a
One
phone
item.
before I finish
Phone.
with this.
Chica green. Ink chat bar. Selected. Recents. Selected. Chica green. Chica green. Chica Maggie Hake. +1.
So here's another one.
9 7 1 3 2 1 3 5. Incoming. Miss. 1 call. Spam risk.
So yeah,
June 20th.
it identified it as a spam risk, but even though the phone company identified it for me as a spam risk, I want to block that because I don't want to get any more calls from this person. So the way you do that is you go, you swipe up on a number,
More info.
and more info,
Spam risk.
and then you go
Swipe up
to
or mail. Pay. Today. Most 1 to 7 of 7.
the very
Show
bottom,
other. Block this caller.
block this caller. When you do that,
Block alert. Block contact.
block it,
Unblock this caller.
and then you can go back.
Video. Button.
Oops.
Recents. Back button. Recent.
You don't have to delete it because that's just a phone number, okay? But you will get no future phone calls from that phone number. It's up to you if you want to delete the phone number. It's just the phone number by itself. There's nothing else with it. But you can always delete it. You just swipe up and hit delete and it's done. So that's how you get rid of stuff that's potentially dangerous. All right, let me just get down to the next thing. So we did the blocking stuff. Okay. Next thing is. Okay. So if you find that you have a lot of people that you're texting and you want to float these people to the top that are really the ones you want to see, you can do what's called pinning in the text message app.
Excuse me. Excuse
So
me.
what you can do,
Thank you.
I'm going to go to text messages,
Calendar. Doc. Messages. 8:09
and let's say that I'm going to pick
Status line.
on, let's see,
Notification center.
oops, sorry.
Notification center.
Wrong one.
8:09 p. To search. Search conversations. Maggie Hager.
Let's say I want to pin Maggie to the top, you know, that no matter what happens, I want to see Maggie's stuff. I don't want to like drill down through a list to find Maggie's text or find Maggie visually. What I can do is I can swipe up on Maggie's name, the conversation with Maggie, and this is how I do it. Swipe up,
Drag item. Delete. Hide alerts. Mark as unread. Pin Maggie.
I'll pin Maggie.
Maggie. Pin.
Then Maggie goes right to the top and the list goes below her. And I can pin multiples. You would do this with family members or people that you're really close with and you want to get to their stuff right away. That way you don't have to go through a list, especially, you know, if you have a lot of people texting a lot and then you want to make sure you have the ones that are important to you right on top. And then their stuff will always be right on top where you can find it. And of course you can unpin it too, just by reversing the process. So Any questions about pinning or unpinning text messages?
Manny, this
Yeah.
is Patty, and you could also uh design it or put a picture of the person, you know, when they're calling you, if you have
Oh,
some
that's right.
vision.
That's right. Yeah. I've never done that because, I mean, I should, you know, because it's a good thing to have, but I'm always using voiceover, not looking at it. But yeah, Patty's right. You can put a picture on these guys and you can see whatever. That's kind of cool because they kind of, if you're looking at the screen, even with low vision, and you pin them and then none of them have picture, they all look kind of the same. So you want to get some differentiation in the images.
Yes,
the
because
icons. Yeah.
you could pick a person picture, or you could put an apple or something like, you know,
That's
if you
right.
see different colors better, you
Yes.
could do that. Manny is a hot dog on mine. I don't know why, but that's what he is.
Probably because I'm bad for you. I think that's what it is.
Oh yeah, no, it has a is I don't know why they gave it a lot of food pictures, the ones that are there already, and
Yeah.
it was just a big hot dog
Oh,
with
God.
bun and everything.
Oh gosh.
There you go.
All right. Any questions on pinning and unpinning your favorite conversations and the text messages? All right, I'm gonna keep going. Here we go. Oh, here's one that I really wanted to show you guys. Hey, you know, if you guys ever travel to a foreign country and you get to where you don't have an English speaking person around you, you can use a thing called Google Translate. Now, there is a translator that comes with the iPhone, the Apple Translate program, but it's not that good, to be honest. And I hate to say that about Apple, but Google outdid them in this app. And what's great about the Google Translate guy is that you can put it into conversation mode and two people can speak and it will translate as they're speaking in real time. And what you do, let me open the app up and we'll go over it real quick. And then I'll do a little demo of two people talking. And for you Spanish speaking people out there, when the demo comes up, don't laugh at me. My Spanish isn't very good looking. Okay. So, so here we go.
Try again.
All right.
Face ID. Messaging.
Oops.
Conversation. Talk.
All right. Hey Siri. Open Google Translate.
Google Translate. Save.
All right. So to describe the Google Translate screen, okay, it's really quite elegant. Okay. So at the very top left, you have a button that opens up a drop list of the original language, which should be English, unless you speak another language. And then right across from it, on the other side of the top part, you have the target language, the language to translate to. And then below that, you have the original language text box, and then the translated language text box. And those are there to show you, the visual people, how it's being translated. And then you could take that text, either the original or the translated text, and you could then copy it and paste it somewhere else. Okay, so I won't go through all of the selection process. We'll just get right into doing a demo. Okay, let's hope this demo goes okay, because I'm kind of scared that it might not. So we'll see. So in the middle of the screen, let me find it.
Save. Chat.
Where is it?
Translate conversation.
There's a button called, there's a few buttons here. One of them is translate conversation. The other one is
Instant camera translation. Button.
I'm not sure what that does. It might take a picture of text and then translate it. I believe that's what that does.
Transcribe speech. Button.
And of course, if you're just transcribing speech, but
Translate
in the use case scenario that I put forward, if you're speaking like with a Spanish person, you would use this option. So let me try it and let's see what happens. Let's see.
Translate conversation. Translate back button.
All right. So in the options for the microphone, you can turn on one or the other. You can turn on the English speaker only,
Listens for one language.
or you can turn on the Spanish speaker,
Spanish. Español.
or you can turn on both.
Translate.
So I'm going to use both because that's what you would use if you're talking to somebody. So let's see what happens. Hi, how are you doing?
Hola, ¿cómo estás?
Estoy bien. Estoy bien.
I'm fine.
Where are you going? Taking his time.
¿A dónde vas?
¿A dónde va? Voy a la tienda. It's been a lot faster
I
earlier.
go to the store.
I said that wrong. Okay, take care and I'll talk to you later.
Bueno, cuídate y te hablaré más tarde.
Adiós.
Bye bye.
Bye bye. Okay.
Bye-bye.
So typically, when I was doing this earlier, it was very fast. I would speak something and right away it would say it back. So I don't know what's happening. Maybe my phone's acting funky, but you heard it. I was playing both parts and it was translating both of them. So everybody in the conversation could hear what the other person was saying. So, and of course, you have a wide range of language: Portuguese, French. You got like 100 languages at least in here that you can use. So anywhere you go, you can get the translator to work. So, and that's kind of cool.
That's pretty good.
I like it.
Mhm.
What was that? I'm sorry.
No, I said that's pretty good.
Yeah. So, and I guess, like if you're going to, Mexico, and you end up in a place where you don't have an English speaking person, which would be very rare in Mexico because most of them are bilingual, but you might end up, you could whip this phone out and talk to them and you could get your point across, or they can talk to you too. So it's kind of nice. It's
Now,
kind of a nice little tool to have.
Manny, sorry, how do you get into that again?
You got to download an app called Google Translate.
Okay,
And then the other suggestion I would make, if you do travel outside of your home and down to like Mexico, let's say, and you'd want to choose a language, and then there's a download language option. And what that does is it puts the language file on your phone for quick access. And that might be what's slowing me up here. Because if you have it locally on your phone, it'll translate very quickly, where if it has to go to the internet and back, you might get those weird delays that I was getting. So I would definitely recommend that. You'll see that in the app when you select the target language. When you choose Spanish or Swahili or whatever you choose, there's going to be a download thing, after it. It'll take 30 seconds to download, and then it'll be local and it'll go faster. So it's very
Hey,
good.
Manny, is this Patty? Is it free? Because they used to charge for Google Translate.
No, it's completely free.
No,
Completely.
because it used to be free for the Android and they used to charge for the iPhone.
Nope, no, it's completely
I'm-
free.
Manny,
Yeah.
you can also ask Siri and say, how do you say? And she will tell you, how do you
That's
say
true.
blah, blah, blah in Spanish? And she'll repeat immediately.
That's true. That's true.
So that's a lot faster. Also, I've used the translate in the Apple that we already have.
Mhm.
And you don't have to tap anything. You just open up translate. And I had this lady do Spanish and it immediately told me what she said.
Oh, okay. Well,
So I had no problem using the translate that we already have in the Apple store. And the only thing you have to remember with Siri, you have to say, how do you say?
yeah, I mean, that's a very quick way. I think these translator apps, whether it's the Apple built-in translator or Google Translate, those are really good if you just want a hands-free conversation and you don't have
Right,
to.
right, just a
yeah.
quick one.
Yeah.
But I had to cut the lady off. She was so excited. she wanted to have this whole conversation, you know, I'm like, whoa, whoa, whoa.
All right, so any more questions on the translator app?
My niece used it and she had 2 Chinese people. And so they did it in the app and they were asking her, where was the bathroom in Chinese,
Mhm.
which I was laughing at because she thought it was something really, you know, cultural.
Yeah, it's interesting. So I have one more app to show, but I wanted to mention that I was not able to get the Hoopla app during my trial run before the class. It was working before, and then when I tried to use it earlier, it stopped working for some reason. So the Hoopla app, by the way, is another way to get digital content down. And you can use your public library and your library card and PIN number to check out digital content, whether they're books or music or whatever. I set it all up. I got the card and everything, and it said everything was fine. But then earlier today, when I tried to test it to be sure it was going to work for tonight's class, somehow it got me in like an endless loop. It kept asking me for the same credentials over and over again. I checked with the Pima County Library and my credentials are fine. So I may need to reload the app and try again next month. So I want to maybe show the Hoopla app and another app called Libby next month, if that's all right with you guys. So that's kind of, wanted to mention that I intended to show the Hoopla app tonight, but had a problem. So the last app on my list is one that I've been using for travel. And it's called Expedia. I don't know if anyone's ever used Expedia before. It's another travel app like Travelocity and all this stuff. Now, the reason I've been using the app is because I've been trying to plan a trip. And I used to use Expedia when I was at work, when I was doing software engineering business. And what's good about that one, at least back then and now, is that you can do packages, you can do just flights, you can do, just what everybody else does. But I really like the way this one's laid out. It's pretty simple, and you can use it to book things. So what I want to do is I want to go into it, and I'm going to pretend to book a trip to Hawaii. I've already preloaded a lot of it, so you won't have to hear me just do a bunch of stuff. And then you can see the results of what it finds and see what you think. So I'm going to open it now.
8:23 p.m.
Oh, I got just enough time. Okay, great. All right, here we go.
Calendar.
Hey Siri, open Expedia.
Expedia. Tab bar. Trips. Tab.
Okay, so in the front door of Expedia, you got to figure out what you want to do. I'm doing packages, but there are also these options. Let me just go. There's like 3 or 4 of them. Let me just go through them real quick.
Expedia stays button.
So you got stays, which are hotels,
6 choice flights,
flights,
cars,
things
to
to do.
crosses button.
I'm not sure what that is.
5 of 6 choices.
Cruises.
Oh, cruises. I'm sorry. It said crosses.
6 of 6 choices.
I think my hearing's getting old. Okay. Let's see here.
Packages.
I'm interested in packages. I want to do a Hawaii trip. And let's just do it. Let's say I'm going to go into packages. Now, this is just exploratory. I'm not committing to anything by going into these buttons. I'm just playing around, trying to figure out prices, whatever. So I'm going to go in here.
Packages. Packages.
So what's good about this, it should have saved my last inquiries, which I was doing earlier today, just playing around with it for this class to show you guys. So when I hit the packages button, let's see what the screen is like. It's pretty simple, actually. So get up there.
Fly plus car. Hotel plus fly plus flying from Tucson.
So
AC.
So it's real simple. This is beautiful. It's just one control for each thing. It's not this crazy amount of stuff going on. So I'm telling that I'm flying from Tucson. Let's see what else. And the next thing I swipe to.
Flying to Honolulu, HNL.
The flight to
Daniel K.
Honolulu.
Select flight dates. Monday, November 6th to Thursday, November 9th.
So I've selected Monday, November 6th to Thursday, November 9th.
Travelers. 1 room. 2 travelers. Button.
Number of travelers, number of rooms.
Preferred class. Economy. Button.
I prefer first class, but I can't afford first class. So I'm gonna choose economy. And then there's a button on the bottom that I think it says search or something of that nature. And that's it. That's the whole screen. This is not full of fluff like normal screens. So let me go down there.
Change dates for hotels. Search. Button.
Search.
Searching hundreds of packages for you. Searching hundreds of packages for you.
So it takes a second to pull up the list.
See how we pick our recommended properties. Button.
So this list is sorted by recommended. So I'm gonna put my finger on the first one and then we can hear what it sounds like. And we'll just stop it there and have questions after that. And there's really not much more than this. There's a whole booking and all kinds of stuff. But anyway, let's just hear the first one.
Image. White text on a blue background. Ad. Number sign Hilton Hawaiian. Village Waikiki. Beach Resort. Waikiki. 8.0/10 very good. 4,456 reviews. Star round trip. Economy. Bullet. 1 stop. American Airlines. Copyright $1,123, $955 per traveler. $1,911 package total.
So for 2 people to go to Hawaii on that date and have the hotel stay, that's going to be about $2,000, which I believe is pretty good for this day and age, even though it's a lot of money. If I wanted to hear details about that, like the hotel amenities or accessibility stuff for the hotel, or things that are going on, like if I wanted to put a luau on the package, okay, I could click on that and add wherever that is, or if we're doing a helicopter ride, that'll be there. I could add those to my thing. Of course, it'll increase the price too. And then, of course, there's also a section that talks about transportation from the hotel to the airport, whether it's a van or whether it's a dedicated car, you can choose that. So it's kind of cool, and it seems to be very straightforward, and I like it. But it's no better or worse than any other guys out there. Like the Travelocity is good. I don't know if in Google Flights you can actually book a hotel too. I think you can. I haven't never done that. But you know, these packages you can shop and compare between the apps and see which ones come in for less. You know, $900 a traveler for this is not bad, because you know about 400 of that or more is the flight all by itself. You know, so about half of that is the flight and then half is a hotel. So it's not bad for being on the beach, you know, and way far away. So it's pretty good. Any questions about Expedia or anything I can show you on this that you're interested in?
Was that round trip or one way?
Round trip. Round trip. So yeah, it's about $200 each way, and I think this one, if I saw it earlier, it goes through Los Angeles. So yeah, one stop in Los Angeles and then Hawaii after that. Of course, you can book anywhere. I'm sorry. You can book anywhere. You know, I was looking at Bahamas. I was looking down in Mexico at Cabo San Lucas, flying there, or you know, wherever. You know, Tampa. And it was doing the same thing. It was showing me all these packages, and be surprised how expensive it is to fly nowadays and stay in a hotel. It's pretty expensive. So yeah, that's kind of what I think that's what I got tonight, unless there's anything else. Oh, it's 8:30. So wow, that's serendipitous, right on time. So any questions? Sorry. Okay, well, if there's no questions or any comments.
Manny, did
Yeah.
you want to show how you save a website and put it on the home screen?
Yeah, we can do that real quick. Sure. Okay. Yeah.
8:30 p.m.
So let me open up my phone.
See how we pick.
Let me get out of here.
Doc.
So if you want to put a website on your screen, let's say if you're kind of a more of a visual person and you want that website on a screen where you can see it, maybe, you can share it from the website to a home screen. And so I'm going to go into Safari and let's see if I can find a website that I can share. So what I'm going to do is find Safari, which is where? Okay.
Home. Safari. Safari. Text field is editing. Character mode. How to add widgets to your home.
So let's go to some site. I don't know.
Address. Support address. Text field is editing.
Let's see here.
https://support.apple.com.
Just anything.
Google. There is welcome. Home page. Manuel just in the wind. If you from Manny's Google Calendar. Google Calendar. JAWS hotkeys. Learn voiceover. Tucson Society of the Blind.
So let's say I want to add that one. Tucson Society of the Blind. So I tap on it.
Visited. Think global.
When we get to it.
Navigation. Landmark. Welcome to Tucson.
Okay, so I'm there on the website. So what I want to do, if I want to share this to my desktop and not have to go through finding it in a bookmark and this and all this and that, you go down to share, which is on the toolbar at the bottom. You just come up from the bottom if you're non-visual. If you're visual, you'll see it at the bottom. So I'm going to come up from the bottom.
Toolbar. Forward. Dim.
So there's a back and forward
Share. Button.
I'm going to tap on that.
Actions available. Share.
And then I get the share options, and the one you want to choose is share to home screen. So we'll shortcut that and get down there.
Add bookmark. Add to favorite. Add to quick note. Find on page. Add to home screen.
So add to home screen button. You do that. And then you give it a name. If you don't like the name it's given, it's going to be this.
Text field is editing. Tucson Society of the Blind. We welcome all with visual impairment. Serving Tucson and Pima County.
So
Character mode.
well,
Insertion point at end.
let's say that I want to shortcut that a
Use
little
the
bit.
number to access misspelled. Wow. T.
So I'll delete the name that's there.
Of the Tucson Society.
Let's say I just want to do TSB. I go T.
Cat T. S. Space.
Oops,
T.
space. Sorry.
Space. B.
And then the way you commit that to the home screen is there's a button on the very top right,
Button.
add. So you do that, you tap on it,
Magnifier.
and then it
Double
takes you
tap to open.
right to the home screen where it added it. And I'll put my finger on it. I think I can actually see it. It's right here.
TSB.
And
Double
so
tap to open.
in the future, if I want to go straight to the TSB site, I just double tap on that little icon and it'll bring it right up. In fact, let me close Safari and I'll do that. Okay.
Dock. Messages. App switch. Safari. Closing Safari. Closing Expedia.
All right, that's good
Google
now.
Translate.
All right, so I'm going to go to
TSB.
TSB. I'm going to double tap,
to open.
do that, It-
Safari.
and it comes right up.
Welcome to Tucson Society of the.
It's very fast. So,
Perfect.
I think if you want to get to a site real quick without going through all of the, go to my bookmarks, find the bookmark, tap on it. This is a real fast way to do that. In fact, you can do a whole screen of these. If you got real popular sites that you like, you can just like put them all on icons there and you can just swipe through them and tap on the ones you want to go to. It'd be really efficient. All right, that's what I got.
Mhm. All right. Thank you, Manny.
Thank you. If John's there, if you're there, John, I guess we can pull the plug.
Good night, Manny.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, Maggie.
Good
Good night,
night.
John Boy.
Good night.
Hi, John
Good
Boy.
night, John boys.
Hi, Grandpa.
Good
Okay,
night,
okay, guys.
everyone.
Hey, everyone
Good night,
going?
John.
Okay, I guess you're all going, right? So,
Yes,
Yeah.
John.
Good night,
Good night,
John.
John.
all right, let's see.
TSB. App closing Safari. Google Translate. Closing.
All right, let's see what I got.
Closing phone. Setting. Closing settings. Make closing. Closing info. Fire TV, TSB. Double tap to open.
What was it?